Thank you. Woj is with us all morning here on SportsCenter AM. And Woj, let's talk about this Montrezl Harrell deal. A surprise even to Patrick Beverley, who tweeted, "What?" And then a couple of choice emojis here. So fun for his soon-to-be former teammate. How did this deal come together?
Well, after Dwight Howard surprised the Lakers, took that offer in Philadelphia, Montrezl Harrell needed a home. And the Lakers moved in, offered him their full mid-level exception. So now he'll go from being, playing that six-man role in with the Clippers to perhaps now the starting center for the Lakers.
So as of right now, we've seen pretty much every major free agency signing that we're probably going to see this offseason, apart from a few who still haven't signed at the time of this video, like Anthony Davis, even though he's expected to re-sign with the Lakers. But while we're on the subject of Lakers and 2020 free agency, it's difficult to look at their roster and the moves they were able to pull off in the last few days, and think that they didn't pull this off perfectly. They moved Danny Green and got Dennis Schroeder in return. They were able to sign decent free agents like Wesley Matthews to improve their depth. And of course, the big one that nobody saw coming. The Lakers were able to sign Montrezl Harrell to a contract that only guaranteed him $9 million because the second year is a player option. And so the Lakers were the clear winners of this year's free agency. And given that they just came off of a championship and they were able to hold on to their main core, I think it would make sense for them to be clear favorites to repeat. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about the Lakers roster, their potential improvements and losses, and we're going to be talking about why I believe they are now the heavy favorites to win the 2021 championship. But before we begin, if you're new here, I'm Double D. I'm a huge basketball fan and I make NBA videos here on YouTube. So if you're also an NBA fan, or just a basketball fan in general, feel free to hit the sub button and click the bell to be notified when I upload more videos just like this one. Also, according to YouTube analytics, around 85% of you guys that watch my videos are still not subscribed, so I would really appreciate that. Alright, let's get into the video. After the Lakers blew through the playoffs and won the finals in 6 games, a lot of people expected them to be towards the top of the league and competing for another championship next season, even if they didn't make any significant moves. Well, now they're definite favorites to win next season because, well, Rob Pelinka is a genius. Let's start with Dennis Schroeder. This was expected to be the biggest move of the offseason for LA. The Lakers were involved in a 3-team trade that led to them getting rid of Danny Green and acquiring Dennis Schroeder. And what this will do for them is provide some of that perimeter defense that Danny Green provided, while also having another ball handler to go to. Last season he averaged 18.9 points, 4 assists, and shot 47% from the field, and 38.5% from 3 on 5 attempts per game. I'm not sure if he'll be starting or not, but either way he'll be a great fit for that team, no matter who's on the floor. I believe the reason they decided to go after him is they probably knew that they were likely going to lose Rajon Rondo after he entered free agency. And as we now know, he signed a 2-year deal with the Atlanta Hawks. And so I believe that they made this move to compensate for that. But that's a really good pickup for them. Like, there's literally no debate about that. But it's not the best move that they made, because to everyone's surprise, the Lakers were somehow able to land a deal with Montrezl Harrell. This is the move that is going to make them so difficult to bet against next season. Because not only are you signing the reigning 6th man of the year, you're signing someone that thrived in pick and rolls when he was on the Clippers. And so you can imagine how playing alongside LeBron James would cause even more problems for the defense. Now, I'm not sure if AD will finally be playing center with him on the team. I mean, it depends on if they decide to start him, which I've seen arguments for both sides of that. But either way, that's another huge pickup for this team that was already good with pick and rolls. Montrezl is somewhat of a liability on defense, but that can easily be masked playing alongside Anthony Davis. And so I don't see too much of an issue there. Even bigger was how little they were able to sign him for. They signed him to a 2-year, $19 million contract with a player option the second season. So he's only guaranteed $9 million. Part of this is just due to the fact that he played terribly in the 2020 playoffs, and this resulted in teams hesitating on giving him more money than he probably could have gotten had he been playing like he did in the regular season, when he was averaging nearly 19 points and 7 rebounds. But although he did turn down more lucrative deals to join the Lakers, they still got him for a fraction of what they probably would have had to pay him had he played better in the playoffs. So that's the biggest thing about that, is that they got him for so cheap. This allowed them to make other moves such as signing Wesley Matthews, which is another really good signing for them. They were able to sign him for $3.6 million, which is a decent deal for a player like him. But let's consider this. Here's what the Lakers paid Danny Green last season compared to what they're paying Wesley Matthews this season. And now, here are both of their numbers from last season. Yeah. So essentially, the Lakers just traded $14 million Danny Green and are coming into the season with $3 million Danny Green. I understand that Wes Matthews is slightly smaller than Danny Green, and so that might create some problems on defense, but at the same time, you can't look at these numbers and legitimately say that the Lakers lost out on anything here. Now, where they did potentially lose out on perimeter defense is Avery Bradley, who ended up signing with Miami in free agency, and I'm not sure if they're gonna be looking for more big men soon because they lost Dwight Howard in the weirdest free agency signing of all time. Dude literally tweeted he was staying. Sources like Woj and Shams tweeted out that he re-signed, and then he just went to Philly. I don't get it either. And so yeah, that happened. And now we just learned that the Lakers traded JaVale McGee to Cleveland in order to clear cap space for Marc Gasol. And this is yet another good pickup for them, because he can provide floor spacing, or at least more than JaVale because he barely shoots, but at the same time they would be losing out on some of the rim protection that JaVale provides. And so I think that's the trade-off that they're willing to make, because they still likely have Anthony Davis, and so that's their rim protection. But after all that, at the time of this video, this is the Lakers' current roster going into next season, which is this is quite a roster that they've been able to put together. You keep LeBron James and Anthony Davis, which was already expected, but then you keep guys like Kyle Kuzma, KCP. Okay, that's the last thing I wanted to talk about was KCP's contract. The Lakers signed KCP to a 3-year, $40 million deal. They are paying KCP more money than Montrezl Harrell next season. That is something that I didn't really understand when that happened, and I still don't understand how that happened. I guess Rich Paul is just the greatest agent ever. That's the only explanation. Anyway, yeah, you keep most of your roster intact actually. Every player in green is a returning player from last season. I have no idea if they're gonna re-sign J.R. Smith, and that's why he's not on here in case any of you were wondering. And so this roster is... I can't even think of anything that's missing. And so, when you look at it like this, it's easy to see why a lot of people, including myself, now believe the Lakers are in prime position to make another run at a title. Especially considering the fact that they stole Montrezl Harrell from across the hall, because the Clippers needed to have a better offseason than the Lakers, and yeah, that obviously didn't happen and it's not going to happen. And given that the Clippers are really the only legitimate threat to the Lakers at the moment in the West, yeah, this is not gonna be good for the rest of the league. But I want to know what you guys think. Do you think the Lakers are going to repeat or have a really good chance at repeating? Or do you think another team is gonna make a move that can cause problems for them? Let me know what you think. But with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you're new, hit the bell to be notified when I upload, comment down below what you want to see next, and as always, I'll see you guys on the next one.